श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्।
Good morning again. Last class we started discussing DHCP. I think we finished this as well, right? So just have a quick recap. So DHCP, you can just remember it as like DORA process: discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement in that order. So in your network, you may have a computer or a device configured as a DHCP server. It's a server software basically. And nowadays your ADSL modem or even your access point, all this has this DHCP's software. The software module is installed in it by default, and they also can be configured or used as a DHCP server. So in our home and all, we are not bothered of giving, we are not bothered to give IP address for a device. It used to provide by the internet service providers default gateway. That is nothing but your access point or so. Okay, so it's like seamless. See, the problem is if you have a static IP address configuration in your home, when you come to college or office, you will have to again configure another IP address statically in order to access networks. Okay. So if DHCP is configured, you need not have to worry of configuring IP address. So you need to know about which is unicast and which is broadcast in DHCP configuration, DHCP communication. So this part you must be knowing. So when it is asked to explain DHCP, if it is asked for 4 marks, you can explain all the 4 process basically. And if it is asked for 6 marks, you are expected to write the answers including this IP address and its explanation. Okay, I've already told you why say DHCP request is a broadcast. See, The third one, DHCP request is a broadcast. Why? Last class I just mentioned you. The client knows the IP address of the server, but still it will send us a broadcast. That is how the RFC is defined for DHCP. Okay. The reason for this is the request will go to all the devices in the network. So if any other server who has given offer for this client, they also will get to know that okay, this fellow is confirming with that particular client. So that is the purpose of sending DHCP request as a broadcast. So in interviews, they'll ask you, if you're not very sure about this question and this theory, you will get confused. They'll ask you, the DHCP offer has come to the client. Now, definitely client knows what is the server address because the source is mentioned in the DHCP offer, which is nothing but the server's IP address. Now, why client has to send it as a broadcast? Because broadcast will be disturbing the entire network, right? As much as possible, you will have to reduce the broadcast communication. So, is it very clear to all of you guys?
Sir, what is the actual purpose of this, sir? DHCP? Like it is requesting for an IP address, no, sir? Client.
Yes. When you are, suppose you have a computer or you may have a printer, which does not, it is not required to configure a static IP address for that device in order to connect to a network. If you have configured in the IP address, obtain IP address automatically. I'll tell you, all of you are using Windows computer, right? Can you just look into your configuration, how you are obtaining IP address? Go to settings, control panel and settings. Look for network settings. Look for network settings. Can one of you share your desktop? That will be better. Priyadarshan, shall I make you as presenter?
Yes, sir.
Can you raise your hand, please? Okay, you may share your desktop, please. I'll tell you how you are configuring this.
Can you see the screen, sir?
Yes, it is come. It is come. Just wait. I'll maximize. The window is quite small. Okay. See, you are connected to the internet, right? Okay. Now, which OS is this?
Windows, sir. 10.
Okay. Just right click on that Ethernet option or even Wi-Fi also, any one of that left side. I need to look for the option. You on the right side, you see change adapter option.
Sir, in the status itself, we have an option called view your network properties. The below network troubleshooter, view your network properties.
No, that is to see what you get to see in IP config. I wanted to show you something else. Can you click on that network options?
Priyadarshan, you can type in that control panel, like in the search bar. Control panel.
Control panel.
Yeah.
No, I went there and I choose network settings, network and internet.
Okay. Just listen. Let me try. Can you click on that Wi-Fi or Ethernet, one of that? Okay. Click on that change adapter options. Related settings is there, no? Here only. Now right click on that Wi-Fi. Right click.
Yeah, sir.
Even from here also you can go. You can click on that properties. Okay, so this is the configuration tab actually. Now you just scroll down. There is Internet Protocol version 4 will be there. Yeah, it is shown. Just click on that and click on properties again. See here, obtain IP address automatically is configured. Can you see that? If you click on use the following IP address, if you click on use the following IP address, just click on that use the following IP address. Okay, here you can set your IP address, say something like 192.168.1.1, etc. Subnet mask you can configure, default gateway also you can configure. And you can also configure DNS server and alternate DNS server. You can configure 8.8.8.8, which is Google maintained one, okay? And the safer option is you click on obtain IP address automatically, because that will provide an IP address from your access point. Access point will get the IP address will be pre-configured actually. DNS through your internet service, your access point will get. If you are using hotspot, your computer, your mobile phone will make a DHCP server for you. And if you leave the configuration like this and click on OK, your internet will not work because DNS server configuration is not there. You can click obtain DNS server address automatically. Along with the DHCP offer, the DNS also will get configured. If you click on use the following DNS address, you will be bypassing the offer what is given by DNS server actually. And alternate you can give 7.7.7.7. That is again managed by Google services only. Okay. Now also if you give OK, this will be your configuration. Okay. Click on OK. So when you configure DNS address, it requires you just obtain IP address automatically and give OK. Here it is permitting now. I think Windows 8 is taking a slight precaution in the first attempt. Give OK. Now your internet will work. Even IPv6 address also you can configure like this. If you scroll down, you have IPv6 protocol there. Okay. If you don't want your computer IPv6 is operational, you can just select it. You can just reselect it if you don't want it. IPv6. We are not using IPv6 as of now, but it will generate a lot of packets and all. So you just click cancel. Priyadarshan, click on cancel.
Yes, sir.
There is a checkbox there, no, before Internet Protocol version 6. That tick mark,
Yes,
if you Now your IPv6 configuration is taken off from your computer. Many messages, many communication will be debarred, will be barred in this communication. Okay. So this is how you configure DHCP server, and hope it is clear to all of you now. Let me continue with please.
Can I close, sir?
Yeah, you can unshare the screen. Later you just go back and change to obtain DNS also automatically. Okay.
That I will do, sir.
Yeah, because by mentioning 8.8.8, you are contacting one of the server which is there in the internet. Whereas
Yes,
obtain,
sir, I have done that before, sir. Like my system didn't connect to the internet, so when I searched for it, the solution was this, sir. Like 8.8.8.8.
okay. See, whatever be the DNS server you are getting in the obtain automatically, it is a local DNS server available with your provider. So it will act quite fast actually. Okay. So hope I can continue. Any doubts? This we discussed it already, am I right? Okay. So let me. DHCP is more than an IP address. DHCP can return more than just allocated IP address on subnet. Address of first hop router for client. That is nothing but default gateway. Okay. Name and IP address of DNS server. Network mask. So these are the things what a DHCP basically provides. So the DHCP process you can see here. Here it is mentioned that router is configured as a DHCP server. Okay. Now router will make the DHCP response and it will be replied back. Fine. Fine. And if you capture DHCP, it will appear like this. Okay. We have discussed all this, I guess. Am I right? Okay. Sometimes your DHCP server is configured to provide public IP address as well. Okay, to the clients. Say, for example, if you are running a call center, you may need a public IP address for your computers. So in that case, the IP address is provided by the ISP, which will be configured as the pool for the DHCP server. Okay. Then another concept is one of the serious and important concept is hierarchical address and what is root aggregation. Root aggregation is one of the key term in network layer. Okay, please try to understand this carefully. It is very simple, but mostly people forget this very quickly. I will tell what is this root aggregation means. See, when you look at this, the common values I can tell as a aggregated root. So now in this first appearance, what do you say? 223 dot. Only these two octants are looking common, right? 223, 223. Everywhere it is 223. Now, is there anything common in the next in the third octant? There is a difference in the third octant. Is there anything common? We will have to find out. What is 16's binary equivalent? 128 is 0, 64 is 0, 32 is 0, 16 is 1, 8 is 0, 4 is 0, 2 is 0, 1 is 0. So this is what 16 means, right? What is 18? Anyway, this is common, 3 zeros and 1. Then again, 2 is 1. Am I right? Now what is 20? 0, 0, 0, 1. Are you guys following this? 8. I'm writing the binary equivalent of the third octant, okay? This 20 is here. Now 30, if I write, it is 0, 0, 0, 1. 16, 30 minus 16 is 12, right? Sorry, 14, right? So it is 1. Am I right? Then now what is left out? 6 is left out. So 4 is also 1. Now 2 is also 1. Now if you look at this 4 bits are common. Am I right? These 4 bits are common. Okay. When you are writing root aggregation, what you have to write is you follow whatever I am teaching now. I'm not sure what is this calculation is not given in the textbook actually. Okay. So listen carefully. So what I'll do is I'll write the common bits in the aggregated result 1. Okay. And where all differences are there. See, there is a difference. Suppose if 30 was not there, this also would be common till one more bit you could have taken. Now I'll put this as 0 because there is a difference. This is 0, this is 0. Now how many bits are common in this? 4 bits. Okay, what is this value equivalent to? 16. So I will write the aggregated root as 200 dot 23 dot 23. This is common. I need not have to do anything. Then 16. Whatever I have got here, I'll write. This is 16 dot. The next octant, obviously, it is different. Now, how many bits are common in this? First two octants, 8 plus 8, 16. And in the third octant, only 4 bits are common. So I can write the aggregated root as 20. So that is how this means. So if there is a router here, what this router can do, what does this mean in network is, if there is a router here, this router can publish to the external world this message. Send me anything with the address beginning 200.23.16.0/20. Okay. So from here onwards, total here 8 plus 4, 12 bits, whatever is there in this last 12 LSB 12 bits, I don't care. That is what the meaning of this. You send me if the starting address is 200.23.16.0/20. That is first 20 bits. If it is this bit, this combination 200.23.16 combination, send it to me. That is what this router can tell the external world. Otherwise, the problem was he has to send this route separately, this separately, this separately, and this separately. All these 4 entries he has to send. Now the advantage is all these 4 with an aggregation route. With an aggregation route, he can send us a single message. So the advantage of aggregating is all the other routers instead of the entire world from here. Okay, it is getting published to this route, right? The entire world here, the entire world here around, they need to store only one address instead of all this so many IP addresses. Okay. Have you understood this point? There may be we have mentioned only 4 networks, but there can be many networks. Okay. Any change here? See this. This is 4 bits. So there can be 16 combinations here actually, if you consider only this. If you have subnetted the last octant, still you will have much more. So this 16, anyway, this is class C. So /24 is what you have supernetted. You have actually supernetted to /20 now. Okay. So hope these points are very clear. There are multiple routes. You take the common bits. I'm talking common bits. Okay. So to find the common bit, observe the difference where it starts and write down its binary. Then take the common, the similar bits as a common bits and put zeros for the other. That is a calculation. That is a method of calculating this and count the common bits. Okay. That is what /20 is mentioned. The /20 come here. So in all these routes, 20 bits are common. That's what it means. All right. So the advantages of route aggregation also I have mentioned. The instead of publicizing so many networks, only one entry can be published. In the routing table, it will become very small then because the routes are aggregated. Plus, looking into routing table also will be easy because instead of searching in say the 16 entries, he can search only for one entry. The routing table size will be less. You have studied DBMS, right? So being size less of the table, your process will be easy and fast. So that is the advantage of using hierarchical addressing and route aggregation. Okay. Please go through these websites and all and try to understand what they are telling. Okay. Then another important concept here is network address translation, NAT. This is one of the very important concept in many aspects. Okay. Basically to save, we were running into lack of IP addresses basically because IP had only 4 octants and we were running in short of IP addresses. That is where all these methods have been developed. That is subnetting have developed, variable length subnetting have developed, and another concept called NAT is developed. Okay, we have seen private IP address in all classes. Class A we have seen private IP address, Class B we have seen private IP address, Class C we have seen private IP address. Can any one of you tell me what is the range of that private IP address? Is Vishnu present today?
Yes, sir. I'm present.
Can you tell me what is the private IP address range of Class A?
Sir, 10.0.0.02, 10.255, 255.
Okay, very good. You can simply tell 10.0.0.0/8. That covers the entire range what you have said. Okay, you need not have to tell the upper range actually. So for Class B, it is 192.172.16.0.0/31. Sorry, /17, I guess, /17. So it will cover 172.16.0.0 up to 172.31.255.255. That is the Class B range. Now Class C is 192.168.0.0 to 172.168.255.255. So that you can simply tell 192.16.0.0/16. That is a Class B private IP address. Sorry, Class C private IP address. Okay. Now the problem, I think Vishwa sir once he was telling, I heard in the class, he was telling that if you have a private IP address, your private IP address computer cannot communicate to internet world actually. Okay, So suppose you have 3 computers here in this example. None of them will be able to communicate to internet because the private IP addresses are not routable in network. That's a simple rule. So when the data is coming here and this side is a public network, your router cannot send out the packets. Okay. Private IP address means that can be assigned to a computer which is not connected to internet. That is what the meaning of it. Okay. So now what happens is when this data comes to the router, it will discard the data because it has to go through a public network. So that is not possible. So what this router will do is he will maintain, you can configure NAT in this network address translation. So what it will do is it will replace the private IP address in the source IP. You know the IP header, right? Source IP will be this. The source IP in the packet will get replaced with an IP address provided by the router. Okay. This router will provide an IP address. So what you have to do here is when you can configure network address translation. You have commands to do that. Okay. When you are configuring NAT, you will be providing some. Suppose you have 3 public IP addresses. All the 3 you will provide to this router. Whenever the first computer is sending a data, the first public IP address will be substituted as the source IP address, and it will maintain a NAT address table. That is which private IP is replaced with the public IP. Which private IP is replaced with the public IP. So this table will be maintained by this router. Okay. This table will be which private IP is replaced with which public IP. So because there are 3 public IPs here, now it will be maintained. Why it will need to be maintained? When the reply is coming, it will come to this public IP address. Now the router will look into the table and will replace that public IP in the destination address to the private IP address, and it will send across to that computer. That is how the NAT will work. And if you have only 3 public IPs, only 3 computers can communicate at a time. The 4th computer will not be able to communicate unless this one public IP becomes free. The other computer cannot communicate. So if you have 100 computers in the network, only 3 computers can connect to internet at a time. Now, that was a drawback initially when NAT is developed. Then they have come up with a procedure called NAT overloading. You may note it down. It may not be there in textbook, but it will ask for interviews. They have come up with a procedure called NAT overloading. NAT overload. Please note it down. NAT overloading. Network address translation overloading. It is also known as PAT. Port address translation. Port address translation. NAT overloading is also known as port address translation. PAT. PAT. That is what commonly known. NAT and PAT. Okay, PAT is what commonly known name. So in PAT, what they do is they'll add few more things. This table they'll add few more things. There is source port address will be source port address of the original communication will note down, and it will substitute another port number. So now what is the advantage? One public address can be used by multiple computers because the public IP and the port number combination is what used. So port number, he can substitute as many as possible. There are 65,535 port numbers. It's 2 byte, right? 2 byte unsigned. So it can have that many port numbers. So without any worries, one computer can, one IP address can entertain with multiple, communications. See, one computer can, when the reply comes, it will look at the combination of which public IP and which destination port it is coming. Then by looking at this table, it will be able to make out to where it has to go. I hope you are clear with NAT and PAT. Very important concept. Okay. In the case of NAT, one public IP can be mapped with one private IP, vice versa. One private IP address can be mapped with one public IP address. Whereas in the case of port address translation, one one public IP can be used by multiple private IPs because it is changing the port numbers. Okay. Am I made it very clear? How many of you understood this concept? Please raise your hand. Let me see how many of you are attending the class at least. Please put hand symbol those who understood this. Okay. Around 70 people are attentive to the class, I guess. Those who, if anybody here did not understand, can you ask me if you have doubts? You can put a hand symbol down.
So I understood this NAT and PAT, but I want to ask this NAT and PAT softwares, this technologies is inbuilt inside a router, or is it like there is a separate box that is coming for that? And
No, it is a software software feature along given in your operating system of your router. This NAT is actually happening in your ADSL router also because you are assigned with a private IP address. If you have doubt, you can just verify. What you can do is you just check IP config command in your computer. You can see that you are assigned with a private IP address. This private IP address will be NATed with a public IP address by your ADSL modem.
okay.
And again, there is one more advantage of NAT, though it is not very commonly discussed. NAT is treated as a security feature because your IP address can be hidden from outside world, and it is not necessary that a private IP address you have to NAT with another public IP address. A public IP address itself you can NAT with another public IP address. Okay, there is something called static NAT and dynamic NAT. You can always specify this particular IP address may NAT may translate by using another IP address. That is called static NATing. Okay, you can always specify that. Suppose you have a server in your office. Say here AEMS server is there, which has got a public IP address. I can always NAT that public IP address with another public IP address. Okay, the advantage is if somebody tries to hack into my AEMS server, it will come till the router. Then router will say such a destination is not available. You cannot get into the AEMS server at all, remote access. So that way you can secure your network also. Okay.
Can that be of two different classes? Like 10.0.0.0 is private network of private IP of class A, whereas we translated it to 138, which is class B, no sir?
You can translate that. Any permutation combination you can use. Class A private IP address you can translate to Class B private IP address. It is not necessary that public to public only you have to translate. You can translate private to public, public to private, private to private as well. Any combination you can use. Though it is not commonly used, it's common. We commonly use private to public only. The other combinations are also permitted.
So is this how VPNs work, sir? Like we are changing the IP address, no sir?
No. VPN is different technology. That working principle is different.
Yes, sir.
VPN, I think we will be discussing in our course later.
I think excuse me, sir. I have told them like how VPN works. It works based on tunneling. Okay,
Yeah,
tunneling in the
we can discuss that in some other time. We will be deviating from our topic now.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever I explained, it's all explained in the slide now. As and when a source IP address comes, it will get replaced, and how it is entering in a NAT translation table. Then when the reply comes, it will take the data from the NAT translation table and it will resolve it. Then how port numbers are used. Okay, so that is called NAT overload. NAT overload or PAT, port address translation. So they have explained it in a different way. You can go through the slide, but otherwise you just listen to what we have discussed already. Okay, the next topic is ICMP and IPv6. I think we are left out only with 4 minutes. Will may be difficult to complete it if we start today. Trace route and all already we discussed, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then in that case, ICMP at least we can finish off. Okay. ICMP is a protocol which stands for Internet Control Message Protocol. You are familiar with ICMP already. Ping command use ICMP. Even traceroute also use ICMP basically. So ICMP has got many types: 0, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you look at ICMP header format, there is a type field and there is a code field. Okay, and when you are sending a ping packet, it is simply echo reply. Okay, that is type will be 0, code will be 0. And if your type is 3 and code is 0, that means destination network is unreachable. Suppose you are sending a data, maybe an HTTP data or SMTP mail or whatever it is, on the way, it reaches a router where there is no path available from that router to this destination what you have meant. Then the packet will be discarded and the router will send an ICMP error message with type 3 code 0. That means destination network is unreachable. Okay, sometimes when you browse, you would have seen this error message: destination network is unreachable. If the destination host is unreachable, say a particular google.com, you typed and you used one particular service, maybe the chat or something, then if that particular service is not available, that is destination host is unreachable probably. So in that case, the error message will come like 3, 1. So this will be sent by your google.com domain server basically. Okay, whereas destination network unreachable would have been sent by the router in between. So it's all tells your understanding who may send this message. In interviews, like companies like Cisco or Arista and all, or Juniper, the network companies, they'll dig into this much details actually to test your understanding. Okay, so read a textbook a lot, number of times, then these points will be clear. It is tough for me to explain and make you understand all these points. Then destination protocol unreachable 3.2. Suppose you are browsing HTTP and HTTP server by chance, if it is down in the destination side, then your TCP of destination computer will send an error message. That is because port number 80 will not be up, but it will go up to TCP in the the transport layer in the server computer. Now server computer will say network protocol. You would have seen this message like service unavailable probably in the browser. So 3.2. The actual meaning of this is destination protocol unreachable. You may get the message like destination service is unavailable. Then the same thing, destination port unreachable also you may get. Okay, there is no significant difference between these two fellows. Both stands for the same thing as per me. Okay, so please go through this, all these descriptions. Then you can see type 11 and 0. That is TTL expired. That is what it is used in traceroute. Okay. So in traceroute, first time it will send with TTL value as 1. So it will come back from the default gateway. When it is coming back from the default gateway, it knows, okay, this is the first fellow, that is default gateway. So TTL value is 1. So the this fellow will send an error message saying that destination is not reachable. So the source IP address will be the default gateway's IP address, because that router is the fellow who sends back the error. So that is how it works out. Then next time it will send with a TTL value as 2. So it will cross one more router. Then it will keep on adding. Okay. So the next topic tomorrow we will discuss IPv6. Okay. IPv6 we will discuss tomorrow. So please do study till here today. And I hope if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or else we'll wind up. Let me download your attendance list also. Okay, you can leave the session. Thank you all, and all the best for midsem exam. Midsem exam will be time bounded. You may have only 30 minutes to answer. Okay, it's automated, so no extension will be given. So please be ready properly with good internet connection. Don't keep your browser busy. Only AUMS you have to open. Okay.